Shocker fans, thanks for joining us today. My name is Cole Chisholm, and I am our Associate AD Chief Revenue Officer here at Wichita State Athletics. I'm sure by now, if you've been paying attention or you've been tracking your email, you have seen a number of the changes we've made from a ticketing standpoint, from a parking standpoint, from a donor membership standpoint. The purpose of today is for us to walk through some of those different pieces and help you feel comfortable. Again, you may have already seen these things, or you may be hearing about it for the first time. Either way, we want to make sure you feel comfortable with what to expect this season as we work to get Charles Cook Arena as full and as loud as possible for an upcoming series of seasons. I'm going to specifically be referencing our membership guide. Many of you should have received this in the mail as a form of a renewal packet. If you did not, you can reach out to our staff at any time. We'll help you out. Or you can go online to GoShockers.com under the support tab, and you can follow along remotely. Let's get into it.
So here is the front of the book that I just showed you. This is also what it looks like online. So if you're looking and you didn't get this in the mail, or maybe it's been misplaced, again, you can access through GoShockers.com/support. And there's a drop down that's membership guide, and you can access it there. So I'm going to scroll through this. We don't have a ton to cover today, but all of these pages are chock full of information. So I would encourage you to read through it at your leisure and get some good insights into what we got going on. By now, I'm sure you're aware, if you've been affiliated with Wichita State Athletics in any capacity, this is Kevin. Kevin's our athletic director. He does a great job leading us and providing vision, and we're excited to work with him every day. You can read a note from him where he kind of touches on a couple different pieces that we've got. I'm going to save that for you to do on your own time so that we can focus more on the changes to tickets, parking, and the overall donor structure. We have a table of contents, fairly self-explanatory. We're going to keep going through that. Obviously, we talk about the Shocker way and who we are and what's important to us and our 16-to-1 core values, right? Character, integrity, knowledge, stewardship, competitive excellence. Again, I want to point out there's lots of great information in here. Today, we're going to keep this more focused on the more revenue generating pieces so that if we have any questions, we can do that. A lot of good information. Make sure to take a chance to roll through this when you get it one. Some pictures that I'm sure you probably recognize. These are the different areas where giving actually makes an impact. So scholarships, capital projects, sport medicine, mental health and performance, academic support services, sports performance, recruiting, operational support, nutrition, student athlete experience, and most recently and most infamously, roster retainment. So we're really getting into it now. Annual giving is what we talk about for dollars that are associated with season tickets, parking, or annual benefits through our new donor structure. So there are three buckets of annual giving as we recognize them. There's say-so, which many of you are familiar with, but say-so required seating donations is a new phrase. So let me explain what that means. If a seat has a required seat donation, that seat donation is not tax deductible. We know that when the tax laws changed in 2018, anything tied to ticketing was not going to be able to be tax deductible. So when we talk about annual giving and we talk about above and beyond what is required is what counts as tax deductible. So say-so still exists, but if you've seen a required seat donation, those dollars still go to say-so. Those dollars still go to scholarships. But what we've done from an accounting standpoint is we've called out what that amount is. That's allowed us to do a couple different things. But the biggest thing it's allowed us to do is separate the difference between required giving and non-required giving. If you're somebody that used to be a charter guardian member, right? And that was 3910. And you're sitting in section, we'll say you're sitting in section 119 this year. And you've got two seats. And that's $1,000 per seat donation. That's $2,000. Well, you were giving 1910 above that. In our model this year, 2,000 that's required, not tax deductible. 1910 above and beyond, not required. It is tax deductible. So that's a small change there, but broad impacts on the benefits that it creates for you. Another version of annual giving is the Shocker Way Fund. This is essentially just a fund for us to be able to say, hey, I want to give. I don't quite know where I want it to go. I know you've got a lot of projects coming up. I want you to be able to take advantage of that. So let's say it's bowling, and bowling's trying to finish off the last of their locker room project. Well, we might look to the Shocker Way Fund and say, hey, we're going to take X amount of dollars out of Shocker Way because those are unrestricted funds that have been given to us, and they can overcome overages from projects or timeline shifting. A lot of times when you start a project, the cost of that project when you go to complete it typically is different from the cost when you charted it out. This is where dollars from Shocker Way Fund can be very helpful. And then there's We Fight for Wichita, which most recently was the Wheat Shot Collective. So obviously we have Emily. She's come in house. She does a great job for us. She leads out this endeavor for us, but any of our staff can help with this. So all of your previous NIL giving now is in We Fight for Wichita, and it folds underneath our donor benefit structure. And because you're not required to do that, every one of those dollars is tax deductible. Here's the membership level chart. Now, there's a lot here, and I am not going to call out every single piece of this, but I do want to point out some things. We have 5 ticketed sports. Obviously, everybody is familiar with that. We want our benefits to be inclusive of all 5 sports. So I'm going to call out 2 or 3 key areas here. And then, as mentioned, any of our staff are welcome to schedule appointments for specific questions, or this is online or in a book that you would have received in May. We have a $50 donor level. That's where this starts. It runs all the way through $50,000. I do want to call out this is annual giving. This is giving that's tied to season tickets, to parking, to NIL. This is not, hey, I gave $1 million one time 10 years ago, and now I'm always in this chart. That's not what this is for. This is for us to engage with all of our folks that are here on a yearly basis. So we start that at $50. And in the example that I gave earlier of 2 people that have season tickets in section 119, well, they were giving $39.10. Those people this year are going to fall in this bracket between WooShock and MTXE. They hit the minimum threshold of 3,500. That individual would qualify for all of these benefits. So they'd qualify for up to 2 parking passes. They'd qualify for baseball parking. They'd qualify for women's basketball and volleyball parking if they have season tickets for those respective sports. And they'd qualify for the Say-So popcorn and soda souvenir items. That's new this year. If you remember the Say-So room, it was a popcorn and soda pregame space for men's basketball. We have taken that benefit, we have amplified it, and we have spread it across all 5 sports. So now, working with Chartwells, our concessions provider for athletics and campus, we are going to be able to have that souvenir cup and that souvenir bucket. You're going to get that as a membership benefit starting at $1,500. And you're going to be able to get heavily discounted refill prices all season long for all 5 sports, and you can take it down into your seats. We're talking $2, $3. Each sport, once per year, will have a Say-So appreciation night. And on that night, your refills are free. So it's a small thing, but when you look at it in the terms of all 5 sports, and it can go down, and that benefit's now being spread out correctly, it's a great thing, especially if you're a family with young kids, or if you're a family that just you're going to want something at the game. Well, now it's very affordable to you, and that's a benefit of being a $1,500 donor. Obviously, priority points is a major piece of this. We're going to hit that here in a second. Everybody's priority points prior to this year are safe, secure, and they're not going anywhere. But I will touch more on that a little bit later on. So again, the chart is great. The chart doesn't change, but every person is unique. So every person's going to interact with this a little bit differently based off what their account looks like. And that is why we encourage you to talk with one of our folks on staff here. All of our staff has been trained in this, and we would be happy to talk through how this rubric applies to your unique situation. By now, many of you are familiar with Say-So. We've already talked about it even in this video. So I'm not going to spend too much time breaking this down. But as we discussed, required seat donations are still Say-So, and they do flow to Say-So. They're not going anywhere else. If you choose to make a gift to We Fight for Wichita or Shocker Way or any other fund, that is great, and we would love to help you do that. But your required seating donations are still flowing into Say-So. We're only calling that out so we have more flexibility from an accounting standpoint to give you more benefits. We'll call out fall 2024. We had a 3.53. I believe that is the highest we've had. And that is a major shout out to our academics team. They do a great job and we appreciate them. Okay, so here's priority points. Now you might be asking, okay, why do priority points matter? Now you've got this chart, right? Now you've got all these donor levels. I'll walk through a couple examples. Here is where we break down points and who gets them and what they get them for. Again, all of your pre-existing points prior to the 25-26 athletic year exist and they are on your account. But this is the new formula for how we will be tracking it. Transactions of $100 that go towards transactional items like a gala event or the All-American Club or a season ticket. It's a very tangible transaction. I'm giving X to get exactly Y. You'll get 1 point per $100. Required seat donations. Okay, those are going to say so. That's feeding scholarships. We obviously want that. It's 2 points per $100. Major gift commitments. So think Wilkins. Think the bowling project. Think any major capital project that involves building. You're going to get 3 points per $100. And then lastly, all of those above and beyond dollars, that's 4 points per $100. You give above and beyond to get to that $1,500 benefit level because you want the popcorn in the bucket, you're going to get 4 points per $100. You give us X amount of dollars into the Shocker Way Fund because you know at some point we're going to need to complete a project, 4 for 1. You continue doing NIL, which you have been doing, and you continue to, now you get a tax benefit for that. You're also going to get 4-to-1 benefits on priority points. So think of it like this. If we have 1,000 new donors that jump in this year, right? Let's think best case scenario. And all of a sudden we go all the way. We are going to the NCAA tournament for men's basketball. We have to have a fair metric that shows how we determine who's going where. So we would use donor levels to break that into segments. And then we would use priority points to rank within the segment. So if I've given $1,500 for 30 years and I'm a lifelong fan, and somebody else comes in and they jump in at $1,500 and it's their first year coming, even though you're giving the exact same amount, you're going to rank ahead of them because you've got 30 years worth of priority points and they've just got the 1 year worth of priority points. So priority points are a key part of this, but at the end of the day, we recognize there will always be some unique circumstances. Later on, I'm going to talk about softball seating, and that will be a unique circumstance that I'll call out. Okay, here is the completely reworked men's basketball season ticket pricing map. We spent hours upon hours working with large portions of our team to figure out how can we improve this. And ultimately where we landed is this. We want to see Charles Cook Arena full again. Now, obviously, we have responsibilities to our student athletes who we fund all of their scholarships, all of their needs. You saw all of the different levels of support. We need to provide a first-class experience for our student athletes, but we also need to contribute to that by having people in the arenas, in the venues where they participate. So we, in a number of these areas, lowered ticket prices. Specifically, I want to call out this pink and this navy blue section. This pink section last year, on average, would have been about $1,000 more expensive per seat than it is this year. This area right here, in the back of that section, is a $400 season ticket. It breaks out to about $23 per game, depending on a 17 to 18 game home schedule. There is no say-so requirement with that seat. It is a great deal. It's one of the lowest prices I think we've had, at least in the last 15 years. And it's an easy way for people to get into the building. So we don't want to price people out. Obviously, we need to generate revenue. We need to be competitive in a new era of collegiate athletics. But we want people at our games. We want people in our facilities. We want people seeing what our student athletes are doing. And they can't do that if the prices are keeping them away. So this is a great opportunity for folks to jump back in. If you've had season tickets and you let them go, I'd encourage you to reach out and ask what that pricing is because chances are seats in that area are available and it's a lower price point than it's been previously. We've also worked to open up some holds so that we can have more inventory available so that people can get into those better seats if they'd like to. Again, this is year one. You're always thankful for year one because you know you're going to have year two to improve on what you did in year one. But we feel really good about what we've put together. And an added bonus to all of this is that by cleaning up our accounting process to allow for one ticket cost, hey, this is exactly what it costs and this is what goes to say so. That has enabled us to put men's basketball season tickets online for sale for the first time. Previously, you've had to call in to do that. Now you can go online. That's a great way for you to be interested in season tickets. You don't get off work until after 5. We've already shut down for the day. Well, now you haven't missed your opportunity. Just hop online and check that out. Obviously, we've got multiple different premium experiences available. Champions Club, Shocker Way Mezzanine, Coaches Club. These are great opportunities to go above and beyond and have an opportunity to enhance your game day a little bit more while continuing to fund what we're doing for our student athletes. Okay, parking. This is a big one. So we did change the parking map, and here's the language that we're using. You have VIP lots, which are assigned by spot, and you have general lots, which are assigned by lot. Okay, if I have a VIP parking space, I have a specific spot in a specific lot. If I have a general parking space, I have a pass for that lot. I can park anywhere in that lot, first come, first serve. So which are which? Your white, black, and yellow lots are your VIP lots. Many of you are familiar with that. Your red, blue, and green, so non-traditional shocker colors, are your general lots. We'll also assign parking based off of this rubric below. Okay, so why are we doing that? We don't need to have situations where somebody's got 2 season tickets but 5 parking passes, right? We have a finite amount of parking, and we are going to work very hard to keep that full. So when we do that, we need to have a metric for how we're assigning parking passes out. As you can see here, you're up to your first 4 tickets, you're going to qualify for 1 parking pass. And then it's every 4 after that. So if you have 8 tickets and you're a $1,500 donor, you're going to qualify for maximum 2 parking passes. And your lot type eligibility is 2 general parking passes. But it's really important to you to get a VIP pass, maybe. Well, that doesn't even trigger until that $3,500 donor level. Now, why did we pick that donor level? Many of you were that charter guardian level that I called out early on. That was 3910. So, if you have maintained your giving, and this is a promise that we have made many times, if you have renewed and maintained your level of giving through all of these changes, your parking is not going to be negatively affected. And that's very much intentionally how we set the parking levels. Now, we've also made parking eligible at a much lower level. You become eligible for that general parking at the 750 level. Again, much lower than what it was previously. So we want to get more people here. The way that we do that is we take a portion of this lot, we make it general, and we have the ability to empower people to determine how good their parking is going to be based off when they arrive. If having premium parking is very important to you, obviously you're going to want to hit or stay at that $3,500 donor level. And you'll also notice there is an incentive for those that jump up to $7,500. Their ratio decreases from 4 to 1 to 2 to 1. So, as I mentioned earlier, this guide is going to be the same every single day, but how it interacts with people is going to be unique to what they want to accomplish. So we're very excited to chat with folks and figure out how we can continue to make those improvements. Okay, we've got our volleyball map here. So what did we change with volleyball this year? So as you can see, we do have actual reserve seating sections. We're no longer doing the pick a seat and we'll put a sash over it, right? We want to have a cohesive approach to how we do ticketing across all of our ticketed sports. So you'll see those 3 sections on each side, just like for women's basketball, and similarly to men's basketball, our reserve seats, and then we've got our GA seats over here. I will call out that Match Club does have its own set right down here, but you can reach out to volleyball directly for more information on Match Club and figure out how to get into those seats. It is a benefit of being in Match Club, so did want to call that out. Specifically on the seating, we took portions of volleyball pricing last year and we peeled that off into these required seat donations that go to say so. Why did we do that? We want every ticketed sport to be a part of our donor structure because your dollars support all of our ticketed sports, all of our sports in general, not just the ticketed ones. So we didn't dramatically change pricing. We just pulled dollars out of the ticketing amount. We pulled it into the donations amount. So if you buy two reserved volleyball season tickets, that's $50. That's why the starting level for volleyball season ticket parking is $50. That's an easy benefit to tie to that. If you are a general admission volleyball season ticket holder and you have traditionally had parking, you can still get parking for volleyball on a season basis and choose to make a $50 donation to anywhere in our annual giving chart. And because you're choosing to make that donation, it's tax deductible and you can choose for it to go to scholarships, Shocker Way, or it can go to RevShare General or RevShare for volleyball, which is We Fight for Wichita. You'll notice a very similar net for women's basketball and a very similar process. We took dollars out of the ticket side, we moved it to the donation side, and the women's basketball parking becomes eligible at $50. We want to make it easier to have these conversations and to tell people what they get and how they get it. Okay, baseball. Many new seats or new setups at baseball. I can say that with the pricing as it is set right now, we did not raise a single price point. We only pulled those price points to facilitate the rhythm of what we're doing right now, which is required seat donations coming out of ticket amounts and populating so that the baseball season tickets can continue to flow into our donor chart. All of the sports fill into that. So we've got some great options. We did sell out of these first base loge boxes last year, and I expect those to be renewed at a high level, but we still have a great number of home plate VIP tickets available. If you're somebody that thinks you're going to want to take advantage of baseball, your donation for baseball counts for the entire athletic year. So if you want to pick up four of those home plate VIP passes, and that's in $800 in total donations, you just qualified for men's basketball parking if you decide to get a men's basketball season ticket because your $800 donation to baseball is higher than your $750 required donation for men's basketball. The chart is designed to feed off of each other. We want all of the sports working in one towards your benefits level. And that's why we've tried very hard to make this more cohesive. And then lastly, softball. Now, I called out a special circumstance with softball, and I will end this slide with that. We are going to be unveiling reserve seating at softball next year. So we're taking that $100 general admission price point that existed last year. We're peeling $25 off of that required seat donation. And we've got a $75 ticket cost. If you don't want to have an assigned seat, you can continue to do general admission for $75. And we've added the bleacher seating that came over from baseball last year. So we've expanded our ability to have larger crowds, as many of you showed us during the OU game this past year. The special circumstance that exists around softball is this. I mentioned earlier to you that if we went to an NCAA tournament today for men's basketball, we would need to be able to show you why we did what we did, how we did. And we determined that donor levels and priority points are the first and second ranking mechanism to do that. With softball, we as the athletic department have the ability to determine for you, hey, you know what? This softball project, that's a major deal for us. Our softball season ticket holders, we appreciate them coming out here. What we're not going to do is go to the top of that chart and say, hey, a $50,000 donor, we're going to have you go first. We're going to rank people that have given to the Wilkins Project, and we're going to rank season ticket holders for softball historically, and they will be the first ones that will have an opportunity to claim this reserve seating. So while donor level and priority point rankings are probably going to be our bread and butter, and are likely going to be something that we utilize multiple times throughout the year, We will also have opportunities when there are sport-specific examples to reward those that have supported those sports. Because we want to make sure that we've got people that have been coming out there sitting in those seats, and we want the people that have supported that project to be sitting there watching the progress week by week as the season goes on. Okay, that was a lot. We did build in several examples. So we've got two or three great examples here if anybody's ever curious about how this all works together. As mentioned earlier, we spent hours working on this, putting this together, but you won't find a single person on staff that says they're perfect. So if there's things that we need to adjust or there's things that you think we need to look at, we'd be happy to hear about those things. We've also included our frequently asked questions. And then lastly, we do have all of our different ways to make a gift. I think there are a lot more ways than people realize for how you can support our student athletes. And these are all conversations that our staff is capable and excited to have with you if you are interested in setting something up. And then lastly, we've got a Meet the Team page, which you are welcome to check this out at your own leisure at any point in time. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to be with us today. Again, you should have this book. Looks like this. Or you can go online and view this on GoShockers.com under the support tab. And lastly, you can come by at any time and talk with any of our staff about this. We really appreciate you taking the time. If there are any questions, reach out, set up an appointment. Appreciate your time today. Go Shocks.